Hey folks, this is Corb Lund from the Canadian Rocky Mountains, and you're listening to The Northern Report with Sean Burns.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Welcome to The Northern Report. I'm your host, Sean Burns, coming right at you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, on this inaugural installment of the podcast. Maybe the Northern Report, my monthly column and contribution in the Honky-Tonk Times, has brought you here. Maybe you tune into Boots and Saddle on CKUW with me every Tuesday. Perhaps you're a fan of my music or live shows. Of course, there's a strong possibility that you don't know me at all. But whatever has these proverbial doors swinging open and bringing you along, I'll thank you for coming to the party today. Here on the Northern Report podcast, I'm going to aim to shine a light on emerging and existing Canadian talent, as well as some of the legends still with us today. My guest on today's show is Corb Lund, the winner of Roots and Traditional Album of the Year at the 2006 Juno Awards. Other hardware include 11 Canadian Country Music Awards, 7 Western Canadian Music Awards, among a long and impressive list of accolades. Corb has released 10 full-length albums and 1 EP since his debut, Modern Pain, in 1995. His most recent release, Agricultural Tragical, came out in June of 2020 on the New West Records label. Corb has always been kind to me and generous with his time. In recent years, I've interviewed him on Boots and Saddle and opened some shows for him and his great band, the Hurtin Albertans. We caught up on the phone to talk about what's been going on with him of late and to dig into all things agricultural tragic. Thanks for tuning in today, friends, and I hope you'll enjoy my chat with Corb Lund.
Hey, man.
A elderly lady answered the phone on the last call I made, and I was quite confused.
Yeah, sorry, I got a digit wrong there.
No problem. You still got the Edmonton number.
Yeah, never really got around to changing it. I probably should. Too many people have it.
Where are you at today? You in the garage? You in Lethbridge?
Yeah, I'm in Lethbridge. Yep.
What's been happening with you lately?
Working on some new tunes and working on some cover tunes and working on some Christmas tunes and taking guitar lessons and voice lessons and saving the Rocky Mountains from the coal mines.
Yeah, man, you've got quite a lot on the go these days, and it must be
and fucking house rentals on top of it.
So there's nothing. You're staying busy despite being stuck at home.
Yeah, actually, I decided early on that I wanted to make sure that I came out of this not having sat on my ass the whole time. You know?
Absolutely. Has it been really strange for you to be at home for this long?
Yeah, it has.
Like your whole adult life.
Yeah, I've been doing this since I was 20. So I'm probably not the kind of guy who would have voluntarily taken a year off, but it's kind of good because it's almost like mandatory. What do you call it? Professional development sabbatical. You know what I've been doing? I've been doing I've been playing a lot of electric guitar, right? Because I've been fighting with acoustic tone live forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like theater shows when I can put a little mic on, it's a different story. But when you play with a band, you're really not playing acoustic guitar anymore. Or so you plug it in, right?
Right.
So it's like I've been trying to dial in my electric tone and maybe use electric live because I have a hard time being happy with the tone. I've got the acoustic tone about as good as I can get it if I pick up, but it just doesn't. It bugs me sometimes. And it's like I'm using a magnetic sound hole pickup, so it's basically a single coil electric pickup anyway. So I've been working on playing with the Strata Telly, just trying to, because it just I don't know. Anyway,
the electric guitar scares the hell out of me, man.
Yeah, well, me too. When I started as a kid, I was playing Black Sabbath shit with a Les Paul, and then when the Smalls started, I was playing bass in that band. So really, since I was in my early 20s, I've never really made peace with country electric tone. Like the only tone I can get around pretty well on like heavy stuff. Like I'm pretty comfortable with that tone, but I've never really done the research and gone down the tone rabbit holes to figure out a country tone, but I'm pretty close now.
Me neither. And like you're at the mercy sometimes of a house sound guy with, or like shitty monitors. It's tough to be satisfied with an acoustic guitar tone on stage.
Yeah, like it sucks because you're totally right. You can't like even adjust your own levels really.
Yeah.
Like you can't tune. There's no bass knob or whatever. Are we recording?
Yeah, we'll just roll into it. I was just getting a few levels there, but we might as well just roll into it. I was going to say that...
you can use any of that shit if you want.
Yeah, sure, man. I appreciate you taking the time here, too, by the way. And I saw you guys, like 5 or 6 shows in 2019, and then I haven't seen you since then. I guess last time I saw you was in Cadillac, but I wanted to say you've been doing all this stuff. You've been keeping busy, but you released 2 deluxe editions of a couple of the albums this year, too.
Yeah.
Just kind of were you planning on doing that kind of thing, or was it like, these are just kind of laying around and we'll get them out while
they're kind of laying around?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I realized that, you started looking for content during COVID, and I realized that we had a bunch of stuff from Cabin Fever that hadn't been widely released. A couple tracks, as well as the whole album we did acoustically, just for fun, kind of bored. We had an extra day, so we and then for Agricultural Tragic, it was kind of fucked because it was kind of weird because we had it all ready to teed up, and then COVID really bit us in the butt because it came at the exact wrong time, right?
Yeah, and you guys pushed the release back too, right?
Yeah. It would have. It's funny because if it would have happened during a writing period, it wouldn't hardly change anything. But as it stands, it had been like 3 years since we had a new record, and we had, new T-shirts printed, and van all tuned up, and the new kick drum head all figured out. We had 5 months of touring planned, and then we got like a week into it in Colorado, and we had to come home.
Yeah, that must have been pretty scary.
Yeah, it was weird because we had a big Canadian tour, but it's been okay because, like I said, I've been spending the time being creative and kind of cool. But yeah, so we had a couple extra tunes on that record. There's 3 or 4 extra tunes that we hadn't released because we just wrote so much for the last record.
I really dig the acoustic versions, man.
Of Cabin Fever?
Yeah, like the cows around, it's like you're really going for it in a different way. It just sounds like you guys are hanging out and playing. It turned out really good, and I think that the fans really like that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I'm going to make my next record like that, I think I'm going to make the next record all acoustic.
Really?
Like, yeah, I think so. And live. And no, not acoustic, sensitive, lovey-dovey acoustic necessarily, but like Train a Comin', Marty Robbins, Guns N' Roses live acoustic. Right?
I think it's great, and you're lucky that, you guys have been together for so long. It's kind of a rarity. You've had the same guys for that long that even if you're not recording live off the floor, you really get the energy and the feel of a live band. And I wanted to ask you how much of Agricultural Tragic was recorded live off the floor, I guess, except for Harry's stuff that he flew in.
A lot of it was, yeah.
Is that something that matters to you, that you want to do all the time? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The longer I do this, the more I'm into like dents and scratches and warts and stuff.
Well, absolutely. It's like I've heard Bob Dylan say stuff like that might not be the best that I could do, but it was the best I could do that day. And it doesn't have to be the same the next time we do it. And you're capturing a performance, I guess. But you guys have been together so long. It's really, I guess, a part of it. Were the records that you made with Harry like that too? The live off the floor? To
an extent, but I feel like as the years go by, we get more comfortable with it more. And it's like I'm a little better at letting things go now because. You get in there, it's easy to try and overthink everything, but I have to remind myself that when I listen to records, I love it when somebody, misses a lyric or has a clam or restarts. So I really dig that kind of stuff on records.
Like a really noticeable bass mistake.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I like that shit.
It's real.
Yeah. So the longer this goes, the more I strive for 40 dudes in a room.
Agricultural Tragic, before it becomes the name of your album, it's first used as a term for the subgenre of country music that you make. Can you tell me what Agricultural Tragic means to you, where this name came from?
Yeah, well, it was kind of a joke, but yeah, for years, people ask me what kind of music I make, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how it is. If I say country, then I have to qualify it so people don't confuse me with Toby Keith or whatever. So it's like, and my particular stripe of, like, there's a lot of rural content in it, as you know, like a lot of, you know, Western stuff and horse songs and stuff like that. So yeah, Agricultural Tragic is just sort of like, it's kind of a play on that painting, American Gothic,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but it's like, it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of real. Like I have a lot of rural ag stuff in my tunes, and there's a lot of human frailty mixed into the tunes too. So yeah, it's kind of a joke, but it kind of is real.
It's good.
I also have
unique unto your own.
Livestock Rock is another one.
I'll take that one too. Livestock Rock.
That's my next record, I guess.
When did you write the songs for this? Because I guess you guys would have recorded the record in 2019 in the fall, maybe.
Yeah, we had about a 4-year stretch with no albums. So I think it was, I don't know, some of them were quite old. Like by the time I got around to cutting them. Horsepower, I've been playing that for years. That duet.
Yeah, I mean, I'd seen you play like almost the entire record live before you guys recorded it. Like you did those 3 nights at the Times Changed, kind of trying to tune them up, I guess. And
yeah,
that was really cool.
Yeah, those shows were booked specifically to dial in the tunes. Yeah, but
how much tweaking on the original sort of idea and demo of yours are done on the final arrangements when you bring them to the band?
Sometimes quite a bit. Sometimes not very much. It really varies. Yeah, like the guys are. I have a fantastic band, as you know. Like guys are really, really versatile and really good. And yeah, it's funny. Usually I'll bring some in, and I'd say half the time they just know what to do, and it's pretty obvious, right? But then other times they'll surprise me and take it a different way. And sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. But sometimes it's a really happy surprise. Other times I'll have one that I'm just stumped on. I'm like, I got this thing, but I don't know what to do with it. And then we'll bat it around the room and sometimes come up with something. But they're always good it's really satisfying to see it. I try to get the tunes to the point where I can play them for people on acoustic and they're good, solid, complete tunes. But it's nice when it's really a magical thing when the guys put their pixie dust on it and just take it to another place. It's another cool stage. It's funny because I think I might be more of a band-oriented guy than some people because I was in a rock band for 10 or 12 years before this as a bass player. And arrangements are really, really, really important to me. I think arrangement is one of the most key and sometimes neglected elements of songs on records. Like, there's just so much you can do. Like, what drum beat are you using? What guitar tone are you using? Are you doing it halftime or double time or speed up, slow down, change the key? Like, all those things are, and just like interesting twists and turns in the structural arrangement, stuff like that. It's really important to me.
So you guys brought John Evans up to Vancouver when you guys were making Agricultural Tragic?
Yeah, we did.
What's Evans' role like when he's in the studio with you guys? Like, is it a traditional producer thing where he's kind of telling you what to do or giving you pointers, or is he emotional support?
He's like some of both. Like he's just got such a vibe that, well, first we're old buddies, so that helps. It's super comfortable, but like he's just got a vibe. Like I always say he keeps one foot in the gutter, like, or he makes me keep one foot in the gutter because like he reminds me to keep it stinky. You know what I mean? Like
he brings out the livestock rock.
Yeah, he brings out the dirty rockabilly kind of vibes.
So just nice to have that sort of trustworthy set of ears around, I guess. Eh?
Yeah, he's really good with arrangement stuff too. Like it's good just to have it's good. I bounce stuff off the guys all the time. It's good to have an outside party kind of sometimes to come in and listen to it that hasn't been, banging on the same songs for 6 months. He comes in and hears them and thinks, oh, that should be better, different key, or why don't you guys try this drum beat or something, knocks us out of our routines a little bit.
But typically you're like a pretty hands-on with details and stuff, and in the studio working with the producer. Are you pretty hands-on with that too? Yeah. Like Grant and I have toyed with the idea of self-producing,
with an engineer. I'm sure we could do it, but I like what another voice brings to the mix, just to change things up sometimes. Because after this many, it's really important to me to keep fresh and keep evolving and make interesting stuff and not stagnate. So sometimes another voice is helpful for that. Like the new record, the acoustic thing is interesting because I've been spending a ton of time on my rhythm guitar playing. So I think a lot of the stuff I'm writing now is driven by guitar rhythmic acoustic stuff. So yeah, when we cut this new record, it's still a long ways off, but when we cut this one, I think it'll be more driven by acoustic rhythm than like a drum beat.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I've seen a video of you guys. There's a video of you guys in Montana in a field playing all acoustically. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool vibe for you guys.
In the field there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I guess on the other side of the coin from John Evans would be a guy like Harry Stinson, who's, probably a little bit older and he's got a wealth of experience. How did you first come into contact and begin working with Harry?
Well, he was the first serious out-of-town producer we had, because the first two records I made, I kind of made them on my own with a couple of buddies in Edmonton. But when I made $5 Bill, my manager at the time knew him from the folk festival with the band he was playing in the time, the Dead Reckoners. And so he just came in the afternoon for fun, just to check out a tune or two when he was playing at Folk Fest in Edmonton, and it clicked and it was really cool. And so we did like 4 or 5 albums with him. And then we did one with Evans, and then we did one with Dave Cobb, and then I brought for the new one. So Harry couldn't come up in person; he was too busy. But he was listening to stuff every day, and he was co-producing it from remotely. So I wanted to combine, like, Harry's got like a super deep country music vocabulary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And awesome background vocals, and really he's got his own really cool arrangement sense. So I wanted to combine that with Evans's kind of like wild and crazy shit, and then see what happened. It was tricky because there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but it worked out really good because like Harry and John were both helping, and like John was in person and Harry was pitching in from the sidelines from Nashville, and then me and the guys, Grant especially, have a lot of ideas, and even the engineer he was really good too. So yeah, there's a lot of creative people in one place. Sometimes it bogs down a little bit, but it was worth it.
You made it out in Vancouver.
Yeah.
You guys, I mean, I guess you haven't gone to back to the same studio the last, 4 or 5 different albums. You kind of been going to different places. Is that something that's conscious for you? You want to go to a new environment to work?
No, it's not really conscious. It just kind of works out that way. I don't really care that much. I've never done a lot of work in like really nice studios. Like, they kind of freak me out. I like funky, dirty, weird joints.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. And these days, like, I don't know what we'll do, but if we do this acoustic one, I might do it at my house or at the ranch or something. Cause there's enough gear out there now, mobile gear. It's easy, right?
Yeah. You guys made Cabin Fever up at your place too, right?
No, that was in Edmonton. Yeah, at my friend Scott Franchuk's studio in Edmonton. I was just going to say, I feel like the gear is so abundant these days and it's so mobile that it's more about just finding a cool place with good people that you like.
And Franny's amazing too.
Yeah, he's great.
So at the end of it, like, you put the record out. It's had some time to breathe and find its place among your other records. Do you feel like Agricultural Tragic is unique in its sound or vibe compared to your others? Yeah, it is. I tried to make the sound bigger. Like, I wanted to make it, but still really like raw and organic and stripped down, but bigger. Like AC/DC does that really well, right? They don't have a ton of tracks, but it's big. And so I think we kind of achieved that. And that it's kind of a rockin' album. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really happy with that one. It's weird because we haven't toured it at all, really. So it's like, I was kind of like grieving about it for a while, but now I'm sort of thinking that like this whole last year has been so crazy that I think everybody's going to remember this year. You know what I mean? Like, It's going to be like the Cuban Missile Crisis or World War II or something. Like,
like, because we all went through it together, the whole world. And it's like, I think I've had a bunch of people say, oh, thank God we had some new music or whatever. And I'm starting to think that in the long run, like down the road, it might actually live in people's hearts that way.
Oh man, you know? There was a ton of great work that came out last year. Yeah.
So I think that'll be okay. Like it would have been nice to tour it and sell the t-shirts and all that shit, but I mean in the grand scheme of, you know, my artistic output over my lifetime, I think it'll hold a unique place.
I wrote about it in the Honky-Tonk Times article. I said that, you know, it's a really nice blend of country and Western music and stories, and your songwriting is always a real consistent bright spot. But I also wanted to talk about the band because they are, like you said, they are such a pleasure to watch and listen to. I said that Corb Lund and the Hurtin Albertans are not a country band in the traditional sense of the term, but the record will reinforce to anyone who may have forgotten that you guys are truly like the tightest band in the land. And it is a rarity in the circles that you guys run in, I guess, especially in a place like Texas with the beefed up bands, that you're a four-piece. I guess you've always kind of rolled like that. Well, I guess the trio before Grant. But have you ever been encouraged or considered beefing up the band beyond the four of you?
I've thought about it, but I mostly lean toward sparsity. Like even in our group, I sometimes am trying to find ways to find more space.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't think another person would be. Like if I did have somebody, it would be somebody who like this is my wish list. It'd be somebody who plays fiddle, piano, and is a killer backup singer.
And he drives himself to the gig.
Yeah. and he sleeps in a crate.
Yeah, I mean, not to suggest that
I mean,
you need to.
What's that?
I said not to suggest that you need to beef up the band. I just always kind of wondered about that, like, you know, especially rolling with those, you know, 5-6 piece bands like all the time down there, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. Like a lot of the time, it sounds like too much to me. Like, because if you got a steel player, he's playing steel all the time, right? If you got a fiddle player, he's playing fiddle all the time. I'd rather have. Like, I really love what Grant does. I think it brings a real, like, it's like a stew. Because, like, okay, we'll do a couple of songs on steel, then he'll jump to the mandolin, then he'll play telly and baritone, and he mixes it up, right?
Yeah, he's got a ton of stuff on stage with you. It's pretty crazy to see his load in.
Yeah, he works pretty hard.
He covers a lot of space as one guy on a guitar, though.
Yeah, he does.
Like, without overplaying.
Like, I'd rather have that than have, like, a permanent steel player and a permanent, you know, mandolin player. Like I like the sparsity of it. I almost like I'm looking forward to the acoustic record for that reason. So yeah, I just like some of those bands with, I mean, whatever, everybody does their own thing, but some of those bands with like 7 pieces, it's just like, I don't know what the point is. Just like a wall of sound. I mean, I'm not really into walls of sounds. I'm into like, I read a lot of words per square inch, right? So
yeah,
it's important to me. And I don't know. I'm not a great guitar player and I'm not a great singer, but I think I'm a pretty decent songwriter, and that's my strength. And I feel like, well, I know because people tell me like they actually care about the lyrics, and in some music it doesn't matter so much. It's just a different style thing, but it's important for me. I work pretty hard with my sound man to make sure that the words do get out to people as best they can, because and when you start getting huge bands, it's tougher to make space for the lyrics.
Hi there again, folks. We're at the midway point of the episode. You're listening to the Northern Report podcast. I'm your host, Sean Burns, today speaking with Corb Lund. Thanks for tuning in. I'll remind you to subscribe to the Northern Report on Apple Podcasts, follow along on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It's an incredible feat to have kept the consistent band and sound over all these years, and that says something about Corb as a band leader and boss. I've always admired his dedication to building his name and following in the United States, and I was eager to politely interrogate him about his plans and history south of the border. So, I guess you guys do spend a lot of time touring outside of Canada, and I always feel like, you know, most artists or musicians or comedians or whatever the artistic discipline is, the goal is to sort of, you know, make it in the United States. to have some sort of level of consistent earning or fan base down there. And I really admire how you've always taken the band out of Canada and had the strong focus on the United States. Like, how long were you guys touring up here before you went down there?
We started, like, the first tour Grant did with us, I think, was a big, long 2-month American tour. So we've been going down for a long time.
You had already kind of established sort of some fans and some like a circuit down there.
But even when Grant was with us the first time, it took quite a while to really. We spent some lean years in the States, even with Grant. Like, the last 6 or 8 or so have been really great, though. It's really taken off. It's like, it's kind of cool because we can go. I don't know. We're sort of a fringe band, but up here, but you see the Junos or whatever, and there's a huge Toronto-centric thing going on in Canadian music in the business, I feel.
Yep.
And it's like, I don't know, which of those bands can cross the border and draw anywhere from 300 to 2,000 people? Like, it's just like, I don't care anymore about that stuff. Like, people that like me in Canada like me, and if they don't, well, whatever. But it's like, we can go to Wyoming and play for tons of people. We can go almost anywhere in the Western U.S. and draw hundreds of people. So to me, that's an accomplishment, and it's been done sheerly from like blood, sweat, and tears. Like the hard way.
Yeah, Grant's told me. He said it was it was no different than starting out anywhere. It was like you guys were kind of playing smaller rooms, and the last few times he went down, every time I talked to him, he's like, we're playing these big rooms and they're full. Like, we haven't been here in years or ever, and there's a lot of people here to see us. So, like, that's and that's like direct attributed to the amount of work you guys have put in. Like, you at a band that sells the amount of records and stuff in Canada, like, you still seem to tour harder than everyone else.
Well, the thing is some people, I think, I get the sense that some people don't want to take the ego hit of, getting out of the bus and climbing into the van and playing for 200 instead of 2,000 across the border. But I honestly love it. I fucking love it. It's like, I prefer it, actually. Like, it's a funny thing, but like, playing for thousands of people is better for your career and your pocketbook. And obviously and it's fun. It's its own animal. But man, you probably know this too. You're a honky-tonker. Like, the best way to play music is for like 400 people in a 300 seat bar.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get any better than that. That's just the best way to see. Campfire is good too, but it's like, that's the best way to see a band like us, I think, is like 300 people, whatever. And so, in terms of just the sheer visceral joy of it, I love playing some bar in Idaho, man. It's the best. Yeah,
you guys do some like big sort of 300 to 500 seat clubs down there, I guess. And I think that some of your Canadian fans would be shocked at even some of the smaller rooms that you play down there, because you do fill a lot of seats, in Canada.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is, though, I don't like have any kind of hang-ups about it. I think maybe some people do, but I don't really. The whole thing, I look at the whole thing as one big thing. Like, I don't think, oh, this is going to suck because we're playing for 20% of the people we just played for in Alberta. Like, I don't look at it that way. I just think of, this is a different situation. How do we win here?
Right. I guess as a result of the success in Canada, it limits the amount of places and the amount of times you can play a place. Do you miss playing those smaller clubs in Canada ever?
Yeah, I do, kind of. And we do some once in a while, if it's a special occasion, or like we did the thing at John's place.
That was awesome, by the way, man. I was the lucky. I had the side stage view for 3 nights.
But yeah, I kind of miss that. Yeah, like that's why I think I have the best of both worlds, because if we got to the level in the States that we are here, that would be amazing, right? Because we'd be in a bus and we'd be rich. Because there's like 35 times. There's just so many more times. It's just the scale is so much bigger, right?
Oh yeah, way more places to play.
But in a sense, I kind of like it because I get the best of both worlds. Because I can, do a bus tour in Canada and play big rooms, and then hop in the van and go down and dirty with the guys, just us and one crew and in a van, and kick ass all over the States. I love it.
Are there places, smaller places like the Times Changed in Canada that you used to frequent that you kind of wish you could go back to?
Yeah, I think. Well, in Edmonton, there's a bunch of rooms. The Black Dog is always awesome.
Yeah,
and there's a room there. It's about. We play there. We'll do multiple nights there, but the Starlight Room in Edmonton's great. And I still like. There's a place in. I think it's gone now, but the Railway Club in Vancouver.
Yeah, I think they changed it around a bit and it opened again and closed. I don't know, but that would, you guys used to play there too?
Yeah, lots. I like that place.
That must have been rowdy. You got some good pals out there, hey?
Yeah. I lived out there for a while in the old days. So.
Yeah, I met some guys at Lana Lou's in Vancouver when Grant and I were there a few years ago. I don't remember their names, and the guy, we kind of talked about Horse Soldier, how, because the previous record, Hair in My Eyes, you win Album of the Year from the CCMAs, the Canadian Country Music Association. And instead of coming back and trying to do the same album again, you come back with Horse Soldier, which is fantastic. One of my favorites of yours.
And so ends my brief romance with country radio.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. I was going to say, like, I guess that never comes into your mind. Like, do you feel any pressure to deliver songs or singles for country radio? Or are you just going to be yourself all the time?
No, I can't even. Frankly, it was a huge surprise that Hair in My Eyes got on the radio. Like, it was a total time, like a planet aligning thing. Because even now, I mean, it doesn't sound anything like stuff it was up against at the time. I'm still surprised. We actually won the CCMA album of the year with that thing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing to me still. But I don't think that was. I don't think that would have been sustainable. Like, I just don't think. For one thing, I have no idea how I would be totally, like, if I tried to write for radio, I don't even know what that would look like. So I just do my thing.
Yeah, it's like a talking blues song is a hit single and you're on CMT and stuff, and kind of at a interesting time at the crossroads of pop country. Like you said, it was different then than it is now, but you guys were still sort of standing out, but you would have got the play on, contemporary commercial country radio. Are they still playing any of your music at all?
Some of the more regional stations do, but as the years go by, it gets more and more consolidated, I think, from the head offices.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't think they have a lot of leeway at the big stations in the city anymore to play what they want anyhow.
Yeah, your hands are pretty tied, I think, with that kind of thing. And, like, I really dig doing the show and not having to, follow those kinds of rules.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, like, I don't know. All of my heroes had, like, sort of country radio periods of time when they were in, and then other times where they weren't. Like Willie and Waylon and even Merle, right? Like, yeah. Like, all those guys had ups and downs at the radio. Like, Willie's kind of, he was the king in the 70s and early 80s, I guess, or whenever it was. And then he's popped back on a couple times here and there, but it's like, I don't know. I've always just looked at the radio as just kind of a, if it happens, it happens. But it's just part of the big mix. I care about being in the room and singing to people. That's what I care about.
Yeah, and I guess that would have even been before the days of widespread satellite radio, which is probably a place where you get a lot of love. Yeah,
Outlaw is really good to us.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's really good. Because, that probably helps put people in the seats, too, when you're kind of going to smaller places. Are there places in the United States that, like, it hasn't really popped off yet for you that you're really kind of focused on building?
Well, the last few years, it's been really amazing because we've hardly ever had a show where, we went years where, there'd be like 10 people here or 20 people there. But it's been years since we've had a show where it's, like, dead. So even parts of the U.S. where we hardly ever go, there's, you get 100 people at least, enough to play to, right? But it depends widely on region. Like, our best areas are the American West, like Wyoming, Montana, and then all the way down to Oklahoma and Texas. Texas really embraced us because they have their own scene down there, right?
Oh, yeah.
And a bunch of my friends are in bands, and they sort of adopted us into that world. So Texas and Oklahoma have been good to us. But, like, yeah, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, close to home, and Colorado. Those are great. I was just going to say the last few years we've expanded and done more work in Arizona, New Mexico, and Northern California, all the ranchy places, right?
I've noticed the third base coach signs from the side of the stage that you flashed to the band. I don't know if I'm if this is something that's a secret, but there's no set list. You just kind of giving them the signals as to what's coming next. Has that always been the case?
Yeah, we haven't used a set list for many years. We have like so much material that, like right now, after a year off, we could probably play half our stuff without much. And like if we've been on the road for a couple months and I'd get bored and deliberately dig into the back catalog. We get to the point where we can probably play, I don't know, 75, 80% of our stuff.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So with 8 or 9 or 10 records, it's like playing the same 15 songs every night would put us all to sleep. So I just call audibles all night. And so therefore, if it's one that I start, I just start it. But if it's one that the drummer has to count in or something, Brady has to count it in, then I give those guys a signal. And then it looks like we have a set list because we just seamlessly go into the next tune.
Do you ever talk about it before the show? Like, I want to do this one tonight or anything like that?
A little bit. I usually tell the guys which the first couple tunes are going to be, and then we just kind of go off into the wild blue yonder from there. But like, I also have a subset of hand signals for Grant and Kurt, because especially Grant, because I have to tell him which instrument he's going to first.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I tell him what instrument, and then I tell the band what song. And now Kurt's been playing electric lately too, so I got to tell Kurt and Grant what they're playing, and then I got to tell them the tune.
So Grant's still the new guy, even though he's been there for probably 15 years.
At least, yeah.
How'd you guys find him?
My ex-girlfriend Debbie, who was sort of my manager in the early days, saw him playing with Nolan, I think.
Oh, cool.
Coming through town in Edmonton, and said, "Hey, I think I might have found a guitar player for you."
So, and that was it.
Worked out pretty good. Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
In between records, sort of, I guess, I think it was 2019 as well. You guys put out the covers EP.
Yeah.
And you had Ian Tyson singing with you on the AC/DC song, which I thought was pretty nice little thing. I mean, obviously Ian is as big as it gets as far as legends in Canadian country music goes. Do you remember hearing his songs like when you were growing up? Was he someone you always looked up to? Yeah,
for sure. I wasn't as aware until I was like when I was in my metal stage, not so much. I mean, I'd always heard the classics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I got, once I started writing Western songs, I started really digging into this stuff deeply.
Where'd you meet him?
I met him at a show years ago. I was on a Ian Tyson tribute show. It was like a bunch of us doing his tunes, and he showed up to the Calgary episode and came and met us. And I was kind of nervous, but he told me he liked my $5 bill song, so I was happy with that.
That's awesome. And you guys still to this day are close pals.
Yeah. I haven't been able to visit him as much because of COVID and everything, but I talk to him pretty regularly.
I mean, your love of Ian Tyson and Marty Robbins, and then Black Sabbath and AC/DC is well documented. And I recall you and I once talking about Jim Reeves. Even is there any music that people might be surprised to learn that you're a fan of?
Oh, probably. I mean, I like Norwegian church burning black metal quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still got the metal in you.
Yeah, I like Entombed a lot lately. I've been listening. It's a band called Witchery that we met years ago. It's really good. And I don't know. I like the Pogues a lot. And there's this band from the 60s. This Irish band that I like a lot. They sing all these traditional Irish tunes.
That's fun stuff, man.
Yeah, and I like the Eagles a lot. Maybe that's not a surprise, but I'm a big Eagles fan. And I like been in pretty big Woody Guthrie stage lately.
Are there some current artists that you've been listening to, or like new ones that you've discovered that you like?
You know what's weird? There's this band they play on country radio that's the best band I've heard for a long time. They're called Midland.
Oh yeah.
I actually kind of dig them. I don't know who's writing the songs, if it's them or somebody else. And people say they're kind of a record company creation, but I don't really care. I like the music. Like, it sounds like a combination of Dwight Yoakam and the Eagles and George Strait to me. I like those guys. And I like bands in the States that are friends of mine. Like Turnpike Troubadours are one of my favorite bands. And they're not a new band, but they're an indie band kind of.
So just circle back real quick to country music, even though, we've kind of established that you guys transcend the term country music. Like, is it important for you to preserve the sort of traditions and the sounds in the country and Western sound of music?
No, not really. I don't. I use them because I like them, but I don't. I'm not one of those kind of, bow down at the altar of country music people. I just kind of strip mine all that stuff for sounds that I like. I'm not really that into like freeze drying stuff from the past and making it into museum pieces. Some people do that, and it's cool. I dig that too. I'm glad there's people doing that, but for myself, I just kind of grab shit I like and put it in the stew pot.
Is there anything else like outside of the music thing that you'd like to talk about that you're doing these days?
I've been digging pretty deep into guitar repair.
Yeah,
because I'm trying different pickups and different electronics and stuff. So I got my head around that, and I've got spent a lot of time trying to keep the coal mines out of the Rocky Mountains the last few months up here.
Yeah, you've really been doing the research and lending your voice to that, hey?
Yeah, and I don't do a lot of that because I don't know. I usually like to leave it in the music, but this is the biggest threat to most people here I've ever seen. Like, it could mess up the drinking water for millions of Albertans. So it's like a bad deal. Like, we're not getting any money out of it, and I don't even understand why we're doing it. I think it's, I don't know. Somebody's probably getting paid, I guess. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Or else they're just too stubborn. But I think they misjudged Albertans' feelings about the Rockies and how important that is to our identity, and not just like everybody, like city people, rural people, First Nations people, left-wing people, conservative people. It's like everybody's pissed off about this. So, and they did it real quiet. They got rid of the old coal policy on a Friday afternoon, long weekend in May last year or something. And it's been kind of like sneaky and dishonest the whole time. And I don't care about political parties. I could give a shit about I don't really like any of them for different reasons. But I'd say the same thing no matter who is doing this. It's ridiculous and it's outrageous and terrible. So.
Well, it looks like you got a lot of support.
Yeah, it's coming. But the governments, they're good at this. They keep pretending that they fixed it, but so that everyone thinks it's fixed, but they're not really fixing it. They're just like pretending to fix it. So it's going to be a long fight.
Taking up a lot of space in your brain and a lot of time in your day. Kind
of is, yeah. Like, I don't really want to be educated about the coal business, but I am.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, man. I think that's really great, and I think it means a lot to a lot of people that look up to you that you're willing to speak out against that kind of thing,
Yeah, it's an important one, and I've had a little bit of pushback, but not too much. That's the funny thing about it. Not that many people are in favor of it. The government just keeps plowing forward with it anyway. If they're not careful, it might get them unelected, I think. But it's not one of those issues that's 50-50. It's pretty, there's a few people that are into the coal idea, but really, really not very many. So it's not a huge risk to me or anything, but yeah, there's pushback, and it's kind of been good for me because I don't know. I've always had pretty good reviews of my music, and I don't know. I'm well liked here. It's like I'm not used to getting blasted on Facebook. But it's kind of good. My skin is thicker now. It's like it's good not to be like Mr. Golden Boy all your life.
Well, like I said, man, like it's commend you for that, and I think people really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's important. I think it's important. There's a lot of good people working behind the scenes. It's funny because like one of the things I hear from the Facebook trolls is like, if you're not an environmental specialist, then shut up and play guitar, right? Which I kind of understand that actually, because I don't know. I'm awfully skeptical a lot of the time when celebrities are speaking off about stuff. Sometimes it's totally legit. Sometimes it seems like it's about them, and sometimes it seems like they really haven't learned what they're talking about. But it's like the irony in this situation is when somebody says to me, unless you're an environmental scientist, shut up. It's like, well, I'm actually working with environmental scientists and policymakers and toxicologists and conservationists that have been screaming about this for years, and no one will fucking listen to them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just acting as a bullhorn for these people.
Well, right on, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we keep them out of there. Once they get in, they won't get out. That's the problem. They'll mess up the whole Rockies forever.
Yeah, and that's heartbreaking to think about that.
Well, it's funny because all you have to do is look across the border into the Elk Valley in BC, because it's the same coal seam even, and like the water's screwed up and the fish are all gone, and some of the towns have totally had their water supply poisoned. They've had to truck in water. It's brutal. It's really bad. So we just don't want that here.
No. Well, hopefully it trends in the right direction. Any plans, like musically? You said you had a few things up your sleeve. Anything you're willing to divulge?
Yeah, I'm working on the next thing we're gonna do. We're making a record called "Songs My Friends Wrote."
Oh, cool!
And so it's all songs my friends wrote. So it's like Ian and Hayes and Jeff Berner and Mike Plume, all my buddies.
Oh man,
my
that's
favorite
great.
Teams, all my friends. Yeah.
I guess it's hard to plan, with COVID and stuff. But is there any loose plans as to when you guys will do that?
Well, we might. I think we're going to cut the stuff and then maybe release singles on a schedule kind of thing, and then put it all together at the end. I think that's the idea. And I'm working on some stripped down, smoky Christmas songs.
Oh wow!
None of the Jesus ones, just the ones, just the non-religious ones. Like I've always liked "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," kind of sad, and I've always liked "Silver Bell." And in the wider view, I'm working on a new record. It'll be a while for that, but I'm in the middle of in the stage where I'm just mucking around trying to figure it out.
I'm sure you guys will spend a good chunk of when you get back out on the road, hammering the Agricultural Tragic material.
Yeah, probably will.
Like, you didn't get to tour it in the traditional sense, but I think people will still be pumped to hear it live.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think our first big tour after this will be pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you guys still have Canada to do yet.
Yeah, we haven't done a Canadian tour in a number of years now.
Those must be really fun.
Yeah. They're almost so, at least for me, like in my experience, they're so big that, not that they're that big for some people, but for me they're big. And it's just like, it's almost out of control. Like it's just so much to do. Like there's press and there's interviews and there's pre-show stuff, and it's just a big operation. It's almost a relief to pop down to Montana and play the bars.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun and satisfying and awesome in its own way. It's just a big unwieldy beast.
Well, great job on the record, and like I said, I wrote about it in the Honky-Tonk Times, which is this brand new sort of it's print only publication, and I'm the resident Canadian who's got to cover the the Canadian scene, of which is much smaller than our counterparts to the south. So
yeah, I like the report from up north or whatever.
The Northern Report, that's right. Yeah, man. Thanks so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, good to talk to you, buddy. Take care of yourself. See you next time out there.
Yeah, you bet.
Right.
You bet. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed my chat with Corb Lund. I got to thank Corby again for taking the time to talk to me. Listen to his albums wherever you stream music for a nominal monthly fee, or check him out at corblund.com. Follow the Northern Report Spotify playlist to hear music from the artists that I've covered in the Honky-Tonk Times column, as well as here on the podcast. Subscribe, follow along, like it, and share it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. The Northern Report logo was created by Boots Graham of Boots and the Hoots, Central Alberta's finest honky-tonkers. Music on the show today courtesy of Sean Burns and Lost Country, The Divorcees, and Skinny Dick. From local legends to regional stars to the cream of the Canadian crop, you'll find it all here on the Northern Report. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll chat later.
Hey.
Hey, pal, what do you got for us?
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?